Picture this. You're lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at your phone, heart racing every time it lights up with their name. You tell yourself it's love, that overwhelming pull, that constant need to hear from them, that fire in your chest when they walk into a room. But here's what no one tells you. That feeling you're calling love, it might be the very thing standing between you and actual, real love. I'm going to share something with you today that changed everything I thought I knew about relationships, and I'm willing to bet it's going to challenge everything you believe too. Because most of us, and I mean most of us, have been confusing lust and love our entire lives. We've been chasing the wrong feeling, holding on to the wrong people, and wondering why we keep ending up hurt, confused, or empty. The psychologist Carl Jung spent decades studying human consciousness, and what he discovered about desire, attachment, and genuine connection will completely reframe how you see your relationships. This isn't about judging yourself for past choices. This is about finally understanding the difference so you can stop settling for intensity when what you really deserve is intimacy. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll be able to look at any relationship, past, present, or future, and instantly know whether you're experiencing lust or love. And that knowledge, it's going to set you free. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Our culture has been lying to us about love for generations. Think about every romance movie you've ever watched, every love song you've memorized, every story you've been told about the one. What do they all have in common? They celebrate the rush, the lightning strike, the moment your eyes meet across a crowded room and suddenly nothing else exists. We've been taught that real love feels like being struck by lightning, sudden, overwhelming, all-consuming. Carl Jung would tell you that's not love, that's projection. Here's what he meant. When you experience that intense, immediate attraction to someone, you're not actually seeing them. You're seeing your own unconscious desires, fantasies, and unmet needs reflected back at you. Jung called this the anima, or animus, the idealized image of the opposite sex that lives in your unconscious mind. When you meet someone who seems to match that image, your psyche lights up like a Christmas tree. You feel euphoric, obsessed, convinced you found your soulmate. But you haven't found love. You found a mirror. This is lust in its purest psychological form. Not just sexual desire, though that's often part of it, but a deep, almost desperate craving for the feeling someone gives you. Notice that language, the feeling they give you. Lust is fundamentally self-focused. It's about what you get, what you feel, how they make you forget your problems or feel alive, or finally feel worthy. It's intoxicating because it fills a hole inside you, at least temporarily. Love, according to Jung, is something entirely different. Love begins when the projection fades and you start seeing the actual person in front of you, complete with flaws, contradictions, bad days, and human limitations. Love is what remains when the fantasy dissolves and you choose to stay anyway, not because of what they give you, but because of who they actually are. The problem is that moment when projection fades feels like falling out of love. The intensity dims, the obsession quiets, and most people panic. They think something's wrong. They start looking for that lightning strike again, either by creating drama in their current relationship or by finding someone new who can give them that hit of intensity. This is why so many relationships end right around the 2-year mark. That's typically when the neurochemicals of early attraction start to normalize, when the projection starts to crack, when you begin seeing your partner as a real, separate person rather than a fantasy object. And if you don't understand this transition, if you believe that fading intensity means dying love, you'll run. You'll chase lust over and over, never staying long enough to discover what real love actually feels like. Jung was brilliant about this because he didn't moralize. He didn't say lust was bad or wrong. He said it was unconscious. It's what happens when we're driven by parts of ourselves we don't fully understand. Lust is the psyche's attempt to complete itself through another person, to find in someone else what we haven't yet developed in ourselves.
A woman who never learned to access her own strength might find herself intensely attracted to dominant, powerful men. A man who's disconnected from his emotions might become obsessed with highly expressive, emotional women. The attraction feels fated, cosmic, meant to be. But really, it's your unconscious trying to balance itself by borrowing qualities from someone else instead of developing them within yourself. And here's the trap. As long as you're in lust, as long as you're projecting your unconscious needs onto another person, you can't actually have a real relationship with them. You're in relationship with your fantasy of them, your idea of them, what you need them to be. The moment they step outside that fantasy, the moment they're tired when you need them energetic, uncertain when you need them confident, human when you need them perfect, you feel betrayed, disappointed, like they've somehow broken a promise they never actually made. Real love can only begin when you stop needing someone to be your fantasy and start appreciating them for being themselves. And that shift requires consciousness. It requires you to understand your own patterns, recognize your projections, and choose to see clearly instead of through the filter of your unmet needs. So let's get clear about what we're actually looking at when we talk about lust versus love, because until you can distinguish between them, you'll keep mistaking intensity for intimacy, chemistry for compatibility, and the rush of projection for the real thing.
Carl Jung didn't see lust as simply sexual desire, though sex is often involved. He understood lust as a powerful, unconscious drive toward completion, a psychological hunger that uses another person to fill an internal void. Let me break down what's actually happening in your psyche when you experience what we typically call lust. First, there's the projection mechanism. Your unconscious mind holds an idealized template of the qualities you find attractive. This is the anima for men or animus for women, Jung described. This template was formed by your early experiences, your relationship with your parents, cultural conditioning, and your own undeveloped potentials. When you meet someone who triggers this template, your unconscious essentially says, "This person has what I'm missing. I must possess them to feel complete." Notice the language, possess. Lust has an acquisitive quality. It wants to capture, consume, merge with the other person. There's an urgency to it, almost a desperation. You need to text them constantly. You need to know where they are, who they're with. You feel anxious when you're apart and relieved, almost high, when you're together. This isn't love. It's dependency dressed up as passion. Second, lust operates in fantasy, not reality. When you're in the grip of lust, you're not actually getting to know the person in front of you. You're relating to your projection of them, the version you've created in your mind. You fill in gaps in your knowledge with your fantasies. You excuse or ignore behaviors that don't fit your ideal. You construct elaborate narratives about who they are and what your relationship means, often with very little actual data. This is why lust feels so intense, but also so fragile. It's built on imagination rather than shared reality. The moment real information contradicts your fantasy, they mention something about their past that doesn't fit your narrative, they react in a way you didn't expect, they reveal a flaw you hadn't accounted for, the whole structure starts to crack. And instead of adjusting to reality, people in lust often double down on the fantasy, getting angry at their partner for not matching the projection. Third, lust is driven by incompleteness. Jung believed we're all born psychologically one-sided. We develop certain aspects of ourselves, maybe our rationality, or our nurturing capacity, or our adventurous spirit, while other aspects remain dormant in the unconscious. These dormant qualities don't disappear. They live in what Jung called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we haven't integrated. When you meet someone who embodies these dormant qualities, you experience a magnetic pull. If you've suppressed your own wildness, you'll be intensely attracted to someone chaotic and unpredictable. If you've never developed your assertiveness, you'll fall hard for someone domineering. This attraction feels like destiny, like you found your other half. And in a sense, you have, but it's a half that belongs inside you, not in another person. Lust is your psyche's misguided attempt at integration. Instead of doing the hard work of developing your own dormant qualities, you try to access them through relationship. You become addicted to how this person makes you feel, alive, complete, whole, because in their presence, you get to experience parts of yourself you've kept locked away. But the moment they're gone, you feel empty again, because you haven't actually integrated anything. You've just borrowed someone else's qualities temporarily. Fourth, lust creates a cycle of idealization and devaluation. This is classic Jungian psychology. When you project your anima or animus onto someone, you initially see them as perfect, divine even. They can do no wrong. Every quirk is charming. Every flaw is endearing. You put them on a pedestal so high they can barely breathe up there. But projection can't be sustained forever. Reality has a way of breaking through, and when it does, when you realize this person isn't the god or goddess you imagined, when they reveal themselves to be ordinarily frustratingly human, the projection doesn't just fade, it flips. Suddenly, this person you worshipped is deeply flawed. The quirks that charmed you now irritate you. The qualities you admired now seem like weaknesses. You swing from idealization to contempt, often without understanding what's actually happened. This is why relationships built on lust tend to be so volatile. They oscillate between passion and conflict, between you're everything and you're nothing, because they're built on projection rather than genuine seeing. You're not in relationship with a person, you're in relationship with your own psyche's drama. Fifth, lust keeps you unconscious. This is Mobley Jung's most important insight. As long as you're driven by unconscious forces, unmet needs, unhealed wounds, undeveloped potentials, you can't make free choices. You're compelled. You feel like you can't help being attracted to unavailable people or dramatic relationships or partners who repeat your parents' patterns. And you can't help it because you're not conscious of what's driving you. Lust feels powerful, but it's actually a state of psychological captivity. You're being driven by forces you don't understand towards outcomes you consciously don't want. How many times have you been intensely attracted to someone and known on some level that this person wasn't good for you? That's the unconscious at work. Your rational mind sees the red flags, but your unconscious has an agenda, and it's stronger. Jung believed the path to freedom and to real love required making the unconscious conscious. It required understanding your patterns, recognizing your projections, and taking responsibility for your own psychological development instead of looking for someone else to complete you. This doesn't mean lust is evil or that you should feel ashamed of it. Lust is natural. It's how the psyche works when we're still unconscious. But if you want to move beyond lust, if you want to experience real love, you have to wake up. You have to start seeing your patterns clearly and choosing differently. So what does love look like in contrast? What remains when the projection fades and you're finally seeing clearly? That's where Jung's understanding gets really beautiful.
Here's where everything shifts. Love, in Jung's framework, isn't a feeling you fall into. It's a state of consciousness you rise toward. It's what becomes possible when you've done enough inner work to see another person clearly, not as a projection screen for your fantasies, not as a solution to your incompleteness, but as a separate, sovereign being with their own inner life.
Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like. Love begins with differentiation. When you're in lust, you want to merge. You want to dissolve boundaries, be one with the other person, lose yourself in them. It feels romantic, but psychologically, it's regressive, a return to the undifferentiated state of infancy when you and your mother were one unit. It's not actually intimacy, it's fusion. Love, by contrast, requires separation. You have to know where you end and the other person begins. You have to have a strong enough sense of self that you don't need them to complete you. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated individual, separate from your parents, separate from collective expectations, separate from your partner. Paradoxically, real intimacy is only possible between two people who don't need to merge. When you're not desperately trying to complete yourself through another person, you can actually meet them, you can see them, you can appreciate who they are instead of who you need them to be. This is why love tends to emerge later in relationships, or later in life after you've done some psychological work. You have to become someone before you can truly love someone. As long as you're still trying to figure out who you are by using another person as a mirror, you're stuck in projection. Love is conscious choice, not compulsion. With lust, you feel swept away, powerless, addicted. You can't stop thinking about them. You're crazy about them. Notice the language of loss of control. Jung would say you're possessed, not by the other person, but by your own unconscious content. Love operates differently. Love is what happens when you see someone clearly, including their flaws, their limitations, their ordinariness, and choose to stay, choose to commit, choose to build something together. There's no compulsion in real love. You're not driven by unmet needs or unconscious fantasies. You're making a free choice based on genuine compatibility, shared values, and mutual respect. This feels less intense than lust, and that scares people. We've been conditioned to believe that if it doesn't feel overwhelming, it's not real love. But Jung would say the opposite. If it feels overwhelming, it's probably not love yet. It's still projection. Real love has a quality of calm, of steadiness, not boring, but not desperate either. Love sees reality, not fantasy. In lust, you're in love with your idea of the person. In love, you're committed to the actual person in all their complexity. This means you see their shadow, the parts of themselves they hide, the fears they don't talk about, the ways they fall short of their own ideals. And you don't need them to be perfect. You're not disappointed when they're human. You expect them to be human. This kind of seeing requires tremendous maturity. It requires that you've faced your own shadow, accepted your own imperfections, and developed compassion for the messy, contradictory nature of being human. If you're still in denial about your own darkness, you'll demand perfection from others. But if you've done the work of integration, of accepting all of yourself, light and shadow, you can extend that same acceptance to someone else. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Real love changes you, but it doesn't change you by completing you or fixing you. It changes you by challenging you to grow, to face your blind spots, to become more conscious. A real partner acts as a mirror, not for your fantasies, but for your potential. Love creates space for otherness. This might be Jung's most profound insight about love. It requires that you genuinely accept that your partner is not you. They don't think like you, feel like you, or want what you want. They have their own path, their own process of individuation, their own relationship with the unconscious. In lust, you need the other person to orbit around you, to fulfill your needs, match your energy, complete your sentences. In love, you can hold space for their otherness. You can support their growth even when it doesn't directly benefit you. You can let them have their own experiences, their own struggles, their own journey. This is scary because it means you can't control them. You can't keep them through manipulation or dependency. They're free to leave. Real love always includes this element of risk, the recognition that the other person is sovereign and could choose differently. But that risk is what makes it real. Commitment means something only when it's chosen freely, again and again, not because of need, but because of genuine care. Love is grounded in mutual individuation. Jung believed the purpose of relationship wasn't to make you happy or complete you, but to facilitate both partners' process of becoming whole. A conscious partnership from this perspective is one where both people are committed to their own psychological growth and support each other's growth. This changes everything about how you approach relationship. Instead of asking, does this person make me happy? You ask, does this relationship support my becoming more conscious, more integrated, more fully myself? Instead of clinging to someone because they soothe your anxiety, you appreciate someone because they challenge you to face what you've been avoiding. Real love is hard work. It requires honesty with yourself and with your partner. It requires that you take responsibility for your own triggers, projections, and unhealed wounds instead of blaming your partner for making you feel a certain way. It requires ongoing communication, repair, forgiveness, and the willingness to be changed by the relationship. But here's what you get in return. You get to be fully known, not the fantasy version of yourself that you present to win love, but your actual self, messy, flawed, complicated. And you get to fully know another person, which is one of the most profound experiences a human being can have. Lust promises ecstasy. Love promises growth, depth, and the possibility of genuine intimacy between two whole people. So how do you know which one you're experiencing? How do you look at your current relationship or your pattern across relationships and honestly assess what's really happening? That's what we need to explore next.
Let's get practical, because understanding the theory is one thing, but applying it to your actual life, your actual relationships, your actual patterns, requires brutal honesty and self-awareness. I'm going to give you a framework to assess what's really happening in your relationships. This isn't about judgment, this is about consciousness, about finally seeing clearly so you can make choices that serve your growth instead of your wounds. Question 1. What do you think about when you think about this person? With lust, your thoughts are dominated by fantasy and feeling. You replay conversations, imagine future scenarios, obsess about what they're thinking or feeling about you. Your thoughts are self-focused. How do they make me feel? Do they want me as much as I want them? What does this relationship say about me? With love, your thoughts include genuine curiosity about the other person. Who are they really? What do they care about? What struggles are they facing? How can I support them? Your thoughts move beyond how they make you feel to who they actually are. Pay attention to this. If most of your mental energy about someone is spent in fantasy or anxiety, you're in lust. If you find yourself genuinely interested in their inner world, separate from your needs, you're moving toward love. Question 2. How do you feel when you're apart? Lust creates anxiety in separation. You feel incomplete without them. You need constant contact, texts, calls, updates. When you don't hear from them, you spiral. You make up stories. You feel like something essential is missing. Love allows for comfortable separation. You miss them, sure, but you don't feel like you're missing a piece of yourself. You trust that the connection exists even when you're not actively engaging. You have your own life, your own interests, your own sense of wholeness that doesn't depend on their constant presence. Jung would say this is the difference between dependency and interdependence. Dependency is regressive. You need the other person like a child needs a parent. Interdependence is mature. You choose to share your life with someone while maintaining your own center. Question 3. How do you respond to their flaws? In lust, flaws are either invisible during the idealization phase or intolerable after the projection breaks. You can't see their limitations clearly because you're too busy projecting your fantasy onto them. When reality breaks through, you feel betrayed, like they've somehow failed you for being human. In love, you see flaws clearly and make a conscious decision about what you can accept. You're not blind to their limitations, but you're also not shocked or devastated by them. You recognize that everyone has shadow material, everyone has wounds, everyone has areas where they struggle. You assess whether their particular flaws are compatible with your particular needs and values. This is what Jung meant by conscious relationship. You're making informed choices based on reality, not unconscious reactions based on projection. Question 4. Does this relationship call you toward growth or regression?
Lust relationships often feel intense, but keep you stuck. You have the same fights over and over. You engage in the same patterns. The drama feels important, but nothing actually changes. These relationships are often recreating childhood wounds. You're attracted to someone who triggers your unhealed material, and then you spend all your energy trying to heal it for you. Love relationships challenge you to grow. They confront you with your blind spots, invite you to develop underdeveloped parts of yourself, and support you in becoming more conscious. They're not always comfortable, real growth rarely is, but they move you forward. You become more integrated, more mature, more fully yourself through the relationship. Ask yourself honestly, has this relationship made me more conscious or more defended? More open or more closed? More myself or more lost? Question 5. Can you imagine a real future or just a fantasy? With lust, the future is either idealized fantasy or terrifying uncertainty. You imagine perfect scenarios, living together, getting married, growing old, but the images are vague, unrealistic, disconnected from practical reality. Or you can't imagine the future at all because the relationship exists only in the intensity of the present moment. With love, you can imagine a real, practical future. Not perfect, but possible. You can talk about logistics, challenges, compromises. You can plan together, make decisions together, build something together. The future isn't a fantasy, it's a project you're both committed to. Jung believed that real relationship required what he called the transcendent function, the ability to hold tension between opposites and find a third way forward. This applies to navigating a shared future. Can you both honor your individual paths while creating something together? That's love. If one person has to disappear for the relationship to work, that's fusion, not love. Here's what I want you to do. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Think about your current relationship, or if you're single, think about your most recent significant relationship. Answer these 5 questions honestly. Write down what comes up, even if it's uncomfortable. Look at your answers. What pattern emerges? Are you primarily experiencing lust, projection, dependency, fantasy, intensity without growth? Or are you experiencing love, conscious choice, mutual respect, reality-based connection, growth through challenge? And if you're honest and you realize you've been chasing lust, mistaking intensity for intimacy, confusing need for love, that's okay. That's actually the first step towards something real, because you can't change what you can't see. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your relationship patterns aren't fate, they're unconscious material, and now that you're starting to see them clearly, you can make different choices. If this is resonating with you, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. We're going to keep exploring these deep psychological patterns that shape your relationships, your choices, your entire life. And the more conscious you become, the more freedom you have. Now let's talk about what happens when you finally commit to choosing love over lust.
So here's where we land. Understanding the difference between lust and love isn't just intellectual knowledge, it's a threshold. On one side is the life you've been living, driven by unconscious needs, repeating patterns, chasing intensity, wondering why you keep ending up in the same painful places. On the other side is a life of conscious choice, where you're no longer compelled by forces you don't understand. The question is, are you ready to cross that threshold? Let me be clear about what this requires. It requires that you stop blaming your partners for the pattern. Every person you've been intensely attracted to, every relationship that's felt fated but ended badly, every time you've confused chemistry for compatibility, that wasn't about them. It was about your unconscious material seeking expression. They were just the screen you projected onto. This is both humbling and liberating. Humbling because you have to take responsibility for your patterns. Liberating because if you created the pattern, you can change it. You're not a victim of bad luck or unavailable people or the wrong timing. You've been unconscious, and consciousness is a choice you can make right now. Here's what choosing consciousness looks like practically. First, you commit to self-knowledge. You start paying attention to your patterns. Who are you consistently attracted to? What qualities do they share? What role are you playing in these relationships? What unmet needs are you trying to fulfill through partnership? Jung would say, start keeping a journal. Start working with your dreams. Start noticing what triggers you and why. The unconscious speaks in symbols, patterns, and repetitions. If you pay attention, it will show you exactly what needs to be integrated. Second, you do your inner work. You develop the qualities you've been seeking in others. If you're always attracted to strong people, cultivate your own strength. If you're drawn to creative people, develop your own creativity. If you need someone to make you feel alive, find out what's dead inside you and resurrect it. This is the process of individuation, becoming whole within yourself so you don't need another person to complete you. This is hard work. It's easier to fall in love than to face your shadow, but it's the only path to freedom. Third, you practice conscious choice in relationships. This means slowing down, not rushing into intensity, not mistaking the rush of projection for a sign that this person is the one. Taking time to see who someone actually is before committing, asking hard questions, having uncomfortable conversations, choosing compatibility over chemistry, shared values over explosive passion. This doesn't mean relationships become boring. Real intimacy, the kind that's possible between two conscious, individuated people, is deeper and more satisfying than anything lust can offer. But it requires patience. It requires you to trust that slow-building connection is more sustainable than lightning strike attraction. Fourth, you commit to staying conscious within relationship. Even after you choose a partner wisely, the work isn't done. Projection doesn't disappear just because you're aware of it. Your shadow will still get triggered. Old wounds will still surface. The difference is that in a conscious relationship, you take responsibility for your material. You don't blame your partner for making you feel insecure or angry or disappointed. You recognize when you're projecting and you do the work to withdraw the projection. This requires ongoing communication. It requires that both partners are committed to growth. It requires humility, the willingness to say, I was wrong, or I'm reacting to something from my past, not to you. It requires repair, the ability to move through conflict and come back to connection. Jung believed that conscious partnership was one of the most powerful containers for psychological growth. When two people commit to seeing each other clearly, holding space for each other's process, and calling each other toward their highest potential, transformation happens. Not the fantasy transformation where someone else fixes you, but the real transformation that comes from being witnessed, challenged, and loved as you actually are. Here's the truth that no one wants to hear. Most people will choose lust over love again and again because lust is easier in the short term. It doesn't require self-knowledge or inner work or the courage to be alone until you're ready for something real. Lust promises instant gratification, immediate intensity, the illusion of completion. Love requires that you become someone first. It requires consciousness, maturity, and the willingness to see and be seen. Most people aren't ready for that. They'll chase the high of projection their whole lives, wondering why they keep ending up disappointed. But you're still here. You've listened to this entire exploration. Something in you is ready for something different. Something in you knows that you're capable of more than unconscious compulsion and recycled patterns. So let me ask you directly, what are you going to choose? Are you going to keep chasing lust? The intensity, the drama, the familiar pain of relationships that don't work? Or are you ready to do the hard work of becoming conscious, developing yourself, and opening to the possibility of real love? If you're ready to choose consciousness, here's what I want you to do.
First, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we're going to keep diving deep into the psychology of relationships, shadow work, and individuation. This is a journey, not a destination, and you need support and guidance as you walk this path. Second, leave a comment and tell me, what's one pattern you've recognized in yourself after watching this? What's one thing you're going to do differently moving forward? Writing it down makes it real, and sharing it creates accountability. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You know someone who's stuck in a painful relationship pattern, who keeps choosing the same type of person, who confuses intensity for intimacy. Send them this. It might be the wake-up call they need. You've been given a gift today, the gift of seeing clearly. What you do with that gift is up to you. But I promise you this, consciousness is always worth it. The truth is always worth it. And real love, the kind that's built on seeing and being seen, is worth every bit of the work it requires to get there. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." I would add, the privilege of a lifetime is to love and be loved as who you truly are. Not your fantasy self, not your projected self, your real, whole, integrated self. That's available to you, but only if you're willing to wake up. Choose consciousness, choose growth, choose love. And I'll see you in the next one.